If you film screen capture videos where they're watching your screen and they're hearing your voice, or like this one where I've got my face interposed on this, then there's a key thing that you need to understand about them that will make them considerably better. Here it is. Ideally, all of your videos should be shot either in 4K or 1080p. Which means that they should be in the 16:9 format. So 16:9, we call that 16:9, which means that when you actually look at the video, it should be filmed with 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. So 1920 pixels wide, 1080 pixels tall, or 3,840 pixels by 2160. Those translate mathematically to 16:9 ratio. Here's the thing. If you shoot instead of 1920 by 1080, you shoot at 1920 by 1200, it's now longer than it should be. So it should be here. It's now this size. And so by shooting within these standardized numbers, what happens is they easily fit into YouTube. They fit into all your course portal packages. It's just good to standardize on a single ratio between the two. And for years, that ratio has been 16:9. Now, whether it's shot in portrait in landscape mode or portrait mode, it's still the same. It's 16:9, or 9:16. It's best to have it be in those formats because that's what everybody's stuff is set up to show. Here's the problem. Mini screens are no longer 16:9. Who knows why they made this decision? But the worst is laptops. Laptops used to all be 16:9, but now monitors in both laptops as well as regular monitors that you set up there are now deviating from this, and they'll be, instead of 16:9, they'll be 16:10 or 16:13 or 14:9 or something like that. It's like weird. And I got to tell you, that is a mad face because I'm not happy about this. It took me, when I bought my last monitor, it took me like, I don't know, an hour of extra time realizing that each monitor that I looked at and fell in love with wasn't a 16:9 monitor. And I simply want to hold to that standard. I want to use it because that's where everything else, hundreds of other videos are produced in that. I don't want to suddenly have things be longer so it doesn't fit in my existing setup. You should feel the same way. So a screen may be 1920 by 1200 instead of 1920 by 1080, which is not 16:9, and your screen capture video will no longer be standard. So let's talk about solutions. There are two possible solutions to this problem. I'm sure there's more, but two that come to my mind. The first one is fix it in editing. So it is possible to film it at 16:10 instead of 16:9, but then fix every video that you do in editing. The problem is this is clumsy. You tend to forget, and it creates problems, including it takes a much longer time to encode in most video processing things because instead of just encoding this, it's got to encode this to make it that. And so it's much more time consuming in this process. Second solution, a better solution, is to change your screen resolution before you actually start filming so that you get the raw footage is filmed correctly. You don't have to do corrections later on. Let me show you how to do this step by step, okay? All right, so what we're going to do here is I'll give you instructions for filming this in Windows 11. So what you do is you start by searching for the term screen display. In Windows 11, what that'll do is that'll bring up this screen, which is System Display. So you're in your systems, and you're adjusting settings within your systems. Right here, there's a thing called Display Resolution. Display resolution, if you look over here, you've got a drop-down box. Now, so when I told you the last screen I bought, I struggled to try to get it the right size. Well, the last laptop I bought was the same thing. And unfortunately, that laptop is not the actual 16 by 9. And so here it is, it's 3456 by 2160. So what you do is you click that down box and you come down here to 1920 by 1080 and click that. What that'll do is it'll take everything that is currently on your computer screen, and so now your computer screen, if you go from a 4K that's incorrect down to 1920 by 1080, it takes everything, goes, and it squishes it up because it's trying to fit it all into one screen. So that's what's going to happen. All right. So now let's go back to how do you do this in Windows 10? So in Windows 10, you search for screen resolution, and then up here in the top, you'll get change the resolution of a display. You click that and you come down here to make sure you're on the right screen. So this one, right, I actually have 3 screens on my desktop set up. And so make sure that the one you're trying to actually change is the one that is highlighted here. So in this case, I'm working on my middle one. I have another one over here that's the exact same screen. Then I have another one that is a vertical screen over here. So you come down here to 38 by 40 by 2160. Remember, this is actually pure 4K in 16 by 9. You click that down box, come down here to 1920 by 1080, click that, and then you are given an option to either keep it or to revert to your old one, and you choose keep in that particular case. Now, you can easily change back afterwards. So once you've done this, it's literally as simple as type something in and 2 screen clicks to get back. And so you can easily change back afterwards, or just leave it that way and do that. So if you're normally doing things on your computer and it's 1920 by 1200 instead of 1920 by 1080, you may want to just leave it that way. And so it's always done correctly, and you never have to worry about rechanging this. It's so much easier, as I said, to do this before shooting. Just make it part of your standard operating procedures. You make sure your microphone's on. You go through each one of the steps, and one of those you add is change your screen resolution, so it's always right before you shoot it. This allows you to keep everything looking nice. It allows things to fit into your current format. It allows your encoding to happen faster, and it allows you to fit on things like YouTube and places like that in a standard, natural format. I don't understand what's going on with those guys. What's your experience with this? Let me know in the comments. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.